The last few years have led to dramatic shifts in the way we work, and especially the way that we think about work-life balance. And in today's video, I want to give you 5 thoughts to help you effectively shape your work-life balance. Let's get it. First things first, we need to define the word balance. Balance, in my opinion, is actually a pretty crappy term for this whole thing because honestly, it makes the assumption that you can't have more of one side of the work-life coin without stealing from the other. Instead, I propose we call it work-life harmony. Finding something that works for you and thinking of it as an investment instead of a commitment, like work-life balance. Now, this is a good thing because investment means we have control, and control means we can think about how we're putting quality into both of these categories instead of just quantity. Unfortunately, it's impossible to know what the right balance is if you don't know where you're going, which leads me to my second point. We need to clarify your work-life strategy. Life is made up of seasons of life. When you're young, you're learning how to fit in and get through school and pass Algebra 2 and make friends and participate in extracurricular activities. And then after high school, you're trying to figure out what you want to do with your life. Like, what do you want to do? Who are your real friends? What does that look like? At some point later, you're trying to start a family. The point is, every season of life brings its own priorities, rewards, and risks. And I believe the right investment in your work-life balance depends on what you're trying to accomplish in your current season of life. Now for me, I'm building a $1 billion tech company called Tetheros. And right now, in the earliest stages of this thing, it requires me to spend a little bit more than 40 hours a week on it. Now that's imbalanced. From every metric possible, it looks terrible. But the focus is that in this season right now, it's a sacrifice that I have to make. If you know what you want to do in life, you're proactive about your approach to these two concepts instead of reactive to whatever life is or work is throwing at you at that time. My third thought is my most important thought, and it's that work-life is a continuum to improve, not an equation to balance. If you think about work needing to equal life, then you're always going to be taking from one to add to the other or stealing from one to improve the other. And that's a terrible way to look at it. Instead, work and life are a continuum where your overall satisfaction is equal to your work satisfaction plus your life satisfaction. So instead of thinking of them as enemies, as something that are mutually exclusive, you can think about them as both elements that feed into your overall satisfaction, which means you can think about the quality of both of those items instead of the quantity. When you think about quantity, like time and money, it gets extremely restrictive to balance the two. But if you think of the quality, moments, experiences, opportunities, you can improve one and improve the other to lead to an overall satisfaction of your life. So far, if you liked the video, smash the like button. Consider subscribing. I'm a small channel, but I'm trying to grow. I want to spread tactical ideas for ambitious people like me, but let's keep going. Thought number 4 is that work-life harmony requires you to navigate yourself and the environment. You're not operating in a bubble. There's 3 things that impact the way that you approach this idea. The first is your workplace, the second is your inner circle and friends, and the third is actually yourself. So your workplace is important to understand because the rise of remote work also created a gap in time management skills, and people with a lot of meetings who don't manage that well and don't shut off at the end of the day find themselves very dissatisfied with their work, and that leads into dissatisfaction with their life. If the goal is to raise the satisfaction level in work and life, then it's important to study your workplace and find if it is the right environment for you to thrive in. The second area to navigate is your friends and family and inner circle. Now, a lot of us have these big dreams, big hopes, just waiting for it to happen. And we put those on the back burner to accommodate the needs of our friends and our family. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but it's a relationship to manage because putting too much on the back burner for too long could lead to a lifetime of resentment and regret that you never took a shot on that one thing. On the other side of the coin, maybe you aren't giving enough to your friends and family who do require that of you to be a good friend and a good father, mother, sister, brother, whatever it is. because you're spending too much time at work and it's just lowering the overall satisfaction. A big tool for navigating this is having good expectations and having clarity and honesty about where you want to go in both of those categories of your life. Last but certainly not least, you need to learn to navigate yourself. A recent study found that we are very likely to follow the patterns of our parents when it comes to managing our work-life balance. Now, sons specifically track with their fathers and daughters specifically track with their mothers. So if you're a son and your father worked late nights, weekends, all the time, you're way more likely to fall into that pattern and find that as normal and acceptable and just kind of drive towards that. What we recognize as normal and acceptable isn't necessarily the only answer to how we approach work and life. My last thought is to treat your work-life harmony as a budget. With any investment, when you invest in one thing, it means you're not investing in something else, and that's the opportunity cost. The same thing is true with how we spend our days. We live our life minute to minute, and what you decide to spend that minute on, even this minute right now watching this, means you're not doing something else with your life. When you think about work-life harmony, it's important to capitalize on the moments and the relationships that ultimately support your long-term strategy. If you're proactive and you have a strategy and you know what you want in this season of life, you can really effectively manage that time. But if you don't, you'll be reactive and you may end up with regret because you didn't spend it on the thing that mattered most. And the struggle is that we'll never know the right answer until the very end, if at all. Life has no rehearsal. It's defined by how we spend this moment, how we spend this energy, and how we take care of our resources every single day, starting right now. And work-life harmony is greater than work-life balance because it allows us to capitalize on the moments and the relationships that matter the most for our personal goals and ambitions in the season of life with your goals that you're currently in. Thanks for watching my video, and I'll see you in the next one.